list? What is this? Lunce's list? Lunce's list. Oh. What is this? What is this? Lunce's list? Lunce's list. Oh. Lunce's list of 5. Lunce's list of 5. Lunce's list of 5. Lunce's list of 5.
John, other than Space Jam, which was raved about yesterday, name the 5 movie soundtracks that have earned your respect as being up there with the very best lyrical compilations in all of cinema history. There's a couple of things that I put as parameters on this list. I'm not talking about film scores here. That's a whole separate discussion. I'm talking about integrating other music or even original music with lyrics into a movie and making it work. This is a list that should be exclusively judged on how well the films featured songs with notable lyrics, artists, and certain emotional beats and certain beats of the music itself. The albums chosen can either be full of original songs developed for the movie or existing songs that perfectly complemented the movie. And I'm asking for no movie musicals to be a part of this because a lot of those...
So I can't use Mamma Mia from ABBA.
A lot of those are adapted, but I want you to see if you can work with the parameters and create a list that you believe in. Do you believe in this list?
Yes, it's tough because there's a lot of really good ones. Would you let me use Mamma Mia? Because it's all ABBA music.
So I would say yes. I would say yes. I would have probably let you use that one, but I appreciate you not because I don't really want to talk about Mamma Mia.
Don't get me wrong. I like Mamma Mia, but that would not have made it.
How did Pierce Brosnan doing that? From what I've heard, it's not that great. Pierce Brosnan and Mamma Mia.
Him, Stellan Skarsgård, and Colin Firth, I think were the 3 dads in it. None of them are
We've
incredible.
met our Mamma Mia quota of the week.
With plenty of ABBA talk. Let me say this. There's one I did not include. I'm going to go ahead and say it because you may be the same kind of thing. Like, oh, you could have used that. I feel like it's score, and it was very much not score soundtrack. That probably would have been at number 1 for me is Tron Legacy. Because Daft Punk did the score for that while creating new songs for that. I counted that more as score as opposed to soundtrack. I don't know how you would count
I actually thought this would be your number 1 on Lunce's list today. So
okay. Well, I'm getting it out of the way that I count that as more of a
fine.
score, so I'm
fine.
spoiling that would have been
I don't want
1.
people to be confused by this, but like, let's use something for Jaws, for instance, okay? I love Jaws. Got a big poster of it up on the wall that you can't see, but I promise you it's there. Jaws would not count as being a part of this list. But if we were to do film scores, it would count because that dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. And the music in that is incredible.
I talked about before the show, I finished episode 2 last night. I've been rewatching Star Wars, and the music, as bad as everybody considers episode 2, I feel like a lot of people put it at the bottom of all the movies. The music in that for the set pieces that exist that you roll your eyes at is incredible because John Williams is incredible, but pretty much anything John Williams is in that he makes incredible counts as a score. Therefore, you can't use stuff like Star Wars, which with scores would probably be near the top, if not at the top for a lot of people.
Absolutely. John Williams hates this list. I can go ahead and tell you.
Yes.
But we could do just literally a whole Lunce's list of best John Williams scores, which I still think the one I have up at the very top, even above anything Star Wars, Superman. I think the Superman theme is so iconic and it's so good that it has ruined every potential piece of Superman music since. Like, they haven't been able to come up with another Superman theme. Batman's had different themes, and they've taken. Superman has not.
In the way.
Pittsburgh. Okay.
50 Shades of Grey.
It's that painting movie, isn't it?
50 Shades of Grey. So this had a heavy Weekend influence for sure. Let's talk about it. 50 Shades of Grey. The only way this would probably make Lunce's list.
Well, let me also say this. So I'm counting 50 Shades of Grey, and this may or may not happen again on the list. I'm not going to include multiple movies from the same franchise. So, like, 50 Shades of Grey was really good. 50 Shades Darker was actually really good, too. Because it's a movie made for a very female-centric audience that would love pop music, they went out and got every big name in the world to come and do music for it, which ultimately makes a pretty good soundtrack. Taylor Swift was a part of the second one. The Weeknd was very heavy in the first one. Obviously, I'm a Weeknd and Taylor Swift person because The Weeknd was up near the top. Daft Punk would have been number 1, but then Weeknd was there, and of course Taylor Swift. So I think overall the franchise did a really good job with their soundtracks across all 3 movies. I have never seen any of these movies. I never intend to see any of these movies.
But
sure,
I have consumed, John, we believe you.
But I have consumed the soundtracks all the time. Like, they're really good soundtracks. I know 2 of the movies had a song nominated for an Oscar. The big one was The Weeknd from the first one. Zayn from One Direction and Taylor Swift was a big one from the second one. I don't remember from the third one who the big song was, but anyway, really good soundtracks overall, really good bands that they pulled in from it. So it's not something that would ever make Lunce's list except for this and best Twilight fan fiction, but that's it.
Rockstar does voices that crack me up, and I'd love for you to read that in an Irish accent as if it's pronounced the way it's written up on the board. Do you see what I'm talking about here?
50 Shades of Grey.
50
50
Shades of
Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of
I
Grey.
separated the O and F.
50 Shades of F Grey.
Of Grey.
I don't know.
Or he's over there drinking.
Okay,
Also, I
Let's
think
keep
the
somebody
gray is
turned
G-R-E-Y,
Scottish.
not G-R-A-Y, technically in the book, but
it's okay.
whatever.
No one cares. Let's go to
one
number
cares.
4 on
Anyway.
Lunce's list. I have no other 50 Shades of Grey content to get into here. I've already made a joke about Italian dishes at a stripper joint, so I don't know where else I need to go here. John, though, it is weird. He says he's never seen 50 Shades of Grey, but he really was adamant he wanted to paint this room red. That's what he said constantly. I'm like, why?
I agree with him.
And he was listening to that song over and over again. All right, number 4.
Inside Out? No. Okay.
That's one word?
Inside
Llewellyn
Llewellyn Davis.
Lewin Davis.
Llewellyn.
Oh,
How
Country
did
for
you get
Old Men,
Llewellyn
yep.
from that?
Oh my God! Inside.
Lewin's a hard word to spell.
Inside.
Hard name to spell.
L.
Inside Cluin Davis. That's what
Inside
I see.
Llewellyn Davis.
You know, look, it happens every time, and guess what? 10 years from now, it's going to be the same. I start really big, and then I realize, oh, man, I've written one word too big. I got 5 more words to go, so I kind of just cram it in there. Anyway, Inside Llewellyn Davis, one of my favorite films of all time. I'm going to not – these movies have nothing to do with each other other than it's from the same directors. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou as an honorable mention here as well because they're both Coen Brothers films. But Oh Brother, Where Art Thou has an incredible soundtrack. Inside Llewellyn Davis has an incredible soundtrack.
Man of Constant Sorrow was on the radio all the time that year. What, 2001, 2002? I don't know. Something like that. Anyway, continue.
I would say it was just 2000. I don't. Anyway,
May have been.
Coen Brothers and folk music go together very well with really both of these. But this one stars Oscar Isaac, which if you saw Lunce's list about Dune, you know I'm high on Oscar Isaac. Justin Timberlake is in this one, does pretty good music in it as well. Adam Driver's in this as a musician. Garrett Hedlund, speaking of Tron Legacy, is in this one. John Goodman's in it. And it's just really good. Carey Mulligan as well. And they're all basically musicians. Really, really solid music, really solid soundtrack. There's no songs that when you hear them, it's like, oh, I've heard that on the radio. But it's a movie that if you watch it, trust me, you'll hear that soundtrack and you'll be listening to it for a long time afterward.
Let's go ahead and head to number 3 because the chat is going crazy with all different types of suggestions. Going to see how many of them pop up on Lunce's list here.
I don't think Popstar's popping up.
Popstar Never Stop Popping is actually a low-key,
Never
very
stop
funny
stopping.
movie. Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Never
it's
stop
Never Stop
stopping.
Stopping. That's correct.
Never stop.
Yeah,
stopping.
never stop. Yeah, that's what it is.
Stop, never stopping.
Yeah.
It's a really funny movie, and
great.
it gets back to Andy Samberg, right? It's
Yeah.
all about getting it right, getting that bit right, and I thought it was very funny. Number
Baby
3.
Driver.
Babe, Pig in the City.
Great choice. Great choice. This, I don't want to take words out of your mouth, but I'm going to try. This movie does not work without the soundtrack.
This is the best non-musical musical ever. Because you're right, it does not work without it. Just go watch the opening scene when he's driving John Hamm, Isaac Gonzalez, and John Bernthal. Was he with them then? Because they're different crews.
I'm going to say yes.
But when he's driving them away from a bank robbery, incredible driving, incredible music in it, really good soundtrack. And the trailer remix of Nowhere to Run that they used in the original trailer was incredible. And I don't think they actually used that remix in the movie. They just used Nowhere to Run in the movie, but it is nonstop music the entire time. The whole point is that he can't really hear, and so he listens to music while he drives because it's not really going to help him not having music.
And I know what you're talking about with not using remixed music in the movie that's used in the trailer to sell it, because Army of the Dead, the Dave Bautista Netflix Zack Snyder movie, used a great remix of The Gambler.
Yeah.
And it's not featured in the movie, and you can't really find it anywhere. There's people that have tried to replicate it, but I know exactly what you're talking about with that feeling of...
I don't remember exactly if they used it, but because the songs are similar, there's just like very much like an orchestral remix almost. It's using the trailer. Really good. Just go look at the first Baby Driver trailer. It's really good.
This is one of those lists where until we get the full scope of them, it's hard to predict exactly which direction you're going. So let's go ahead and get to number 2. I wouldn't even have a problem with you writing number 2 and number 1, which would break some Lunce's List rules here.
I could do that. Jeff just mentioned one that I actually thought about, but I didn't include, but it's a good choice.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just write number
So none of the ones Jeff mentioned are on your list?
There's one that Tyler just pointed out too.
There's definitely
Oh,
there's
is it Team America? Let's
Hell
go.
Team America making the list.
Wasn't that a musical though?
Yeah.
It's a musical.
It is a musical, really. I mean,
We're going to let it slide.
Matt Damon.
it didn't make my list, but I'm saying it's a good one.
Oh,
I'm confused. I'm so confused by what
I thought he was saying Team
He's
America
got to be
was
talking
on the
about Guardians
list.
of the Galaxy.
No, Team America is a good choice. Since I said I consider it, but I didn't include it because it is a musical.
Guys, we're here all day.
This is not a screaming show, John.
Another fun game could be people that don't know what's going on. Take a picture of that and say, "What the hell do you think this top 5 is?" What this top 5 is.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Bingo. I don't know, unnecessary sex scenes? Like, no. Okay, so number 2 is Ready Player One.
These would have been awkward with that.
And number 1 is Guardians. I agree Guardians had to be on this list. Yes.
Easy number 1. I worked my way back from that.
Had to be that.
Um,
Which is why I was okay with you writing the final 2 because I was like, it's got to be up there.
and Ready Player One, similar genre, similar time, coming from the '80s and all, but really, really good soundtrack there as well. Obviously, the entire thing is very '80s influenced because of when it was created, but
This is. I
ahead.
feel like you took a giant dump on Back to the Future again because Back to the Future deserves to be on this list
Back to the Future's fine.
in the place of Ready Player One.
I'll take that too. I would take
Just because they used the DeLorean in it.
No, Huey Lewis kills it on that soundtrack. Kills it on there.
Forrest Gump had a great soundtrack.
Forrest Gump, one of my honorable mentions.
Singles had to be. If you didn't put singles on there, ridiculous.
My honorable mentions.
Jeff has that as his number 1.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump, Ferris Bueller, Drive. Only reason I didn't include Drive is because Drive is very much like 1 or 2 songs played over and
Yeah,
over and over
it's
again.
just-
Now, they are great songs, and they influence our favorite band, but that's it. It's not a full good soundtrack. Donnie Darko had a good soundtrack. Call Me By Your Name has kind of a sneaky good soundtrack. And then Tron Legacy was one I felt like I couldn't really include on there. but-
Movies with great lyrical soundtracks. Another one that should have been on here is Rocky IV, which is fantastic.
Thought
I
about
think,
any Rocky movie, but yeah.
I think Rocky IV is my favorite movie soundtrack maybe of all time. It's definitely up there. But I don't have a lot of major complaints other than maybe Back to the Future should have gotten some love. But
See, like Jeff included, he had Guardians, Team America. Lion King doesn't count. I count that as a musical, or else I would have done something like that.
Was
Jody,
Pulp Fiction anywhere in your consideration? Because I think
Dick Gale in it.
the Guardian soundtrack doesn't exist if Quentin Tarantino doesn't dig up Urge Overkill.
why would I not include Pulp Fiction?
because you have not seen Pulp
I have
Fiction.
not seen any Tarantino movie except for
Oh.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go.
John has an interesting. We've never gotten into this publicly on the air.
You think he's too good looking?
We
John has.
obviously we would go on for hours with this debate.
We don't need to do that, but he has certain parameters of films he does not want to watch, but yet he'll break those rules sometimes, but then come back and say, I'll refuse to break those rules. But then he'll watch something. I'll be like, well, that breaks your rules again. And you're like, but not really. I can handle that. And then, so we'll get into that a whole nother time. We do not have time for that discussion. You've got to get to Nashville, Tennessee.
89 Batman, by the way, also honorable mention.
There's one that I thought was sort of a gimme on here.
89 Batman.
Yeah, what's wrong
Yeah,
with that?
with Prince.
Yeah.
Prince doing the soundtrack on that.
Okay. Well, I'm just like, but then, okay.
Party Man, Trust,
I mean, a lot of
Calling Vicky.
multiple Batmans had good music, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a lot of love for the Batman Forever soundtrack in the chat.
I'd go to the original.
Kiss
on
from
that.
a Rose, Bat Dance.
Plus,
was
I would
on the
include. I'd
89
probably include them all.
Hold me, thrill me, kiss me, kill me.
Kind of do with Guardians. Anyway, continue.
You really didn't have that poppy soundtrack for Batman Returns. You didn't have that. You had that song Gotham City that was done by, I don't remember who it was done by, but it was really popular, I think, for Batman and Robin. But Star is Born.
I consider that a musical.
How? They don't break out into songs to advance the story. They perform, they're concert performers. They have to be able to do their jobs in the movie. I think A Star is Born, I understand, but If I said it was clear and free to go, would it make this list?
Yeah.
That's all I needed
It'd
to hear.
be
I don't consider A Star Is Born to
it'd
be a
probably
musical.
be number 2. I'd probably still keep it behind Guardians, but I'd probably
Do you consider
number two.
Bohemian Rhapsody to be a musical?
I consider
What they did with Rocket Man was a musical. What they did with Bohemian Rhapsody was not a musical, in my opinion.
it's on the fence for me.
Okay.
Anything like that, I kind of keep in
Would
the
Bohemian
same vein.
Rhapsody make your list?
Probably not.
Well, no. What about Walk the Line or something where it's literally
not your style.
Joaquin,
Johnny Cash ain't my style.
I know, but Joaquin Phoenix doing the entire soundtrack as Johnny Cash.
Well, I can appreciate it, but yeah, I mean, just Johnny Cash. I don't care who's doing it. Johnny Cash in general probably wouldn't make my style. But I mean, there's a difference between Mamma Mia and those movies, but there's also a difference between those movies and these movies too.
Yeah.
To where I feel
I
like
agree.
all of those are, no pun intended, walking the line of what is and what isn't.
That is definitely pun intended. Let's be honest here.
Varsity Blues is good too. Brian mentioned that. I kind of consider that too.